Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I appreciate you tuning in. Today's video is about our EG100 and why you have to have one of these if you're going to do any secondary processing, running a molder, different things. Come right back and we'll get into it just a little deeper. Okay guys, let's go into a little more detail of why you have to have a straight line edger. Now, running our sawmill, edgers are a wonderful thing. Take all your flitches, shove them through there, take bark off one side, bark off both sides, and you get a straight dimensional board. Everybody knows what that is. Now, we did that several months ago, air dried this, kiln dried it. What it is 1 3/4 inch by, what do we cut them? 7. 12-foot long, big old beautiful forest pines. Well, if you've ever air dried or kiln dried wood, you know there's a certain percentage of wood that's not going to dry straight. It's going to turn one way or the other, and that's because of internal tension and stress in the wood, and this is no different. These were beautiful trees, big ones. Some of the nicest stuff. The only thing around here better would have been old growth yellow pine. But in the drying process, we've seen some issues, and I'll show you here. We cut this board straight as a stick when it was cut. Look at it now. You know, it's bowed up almost 3/4 inch. Well, you can't run that through a molder. So a molder has one job, well, several jobs, but one of its jobs is to make the wood straight. And if you send a 3/4 inch bow through there, it's going to miss because that bow goes through the machine. You'd have to hog off so much off the inboard side, you wouldn't get nothing left on the outboard. So we have to straight line edge it. And that's what we're using our EG100 for. We currently have 10 inch, what is it, 40 tooth? Yeah, 40 tooth table saw blades, real thin curve, mounted on the machine. So it don't use a lot of horsepower to pull through it. If you watch some of our previous videos, we had a roller go bad. We replaced the roller, put 2 new belts on, and then I ordered the other roller for the outboard side. We replaced it the other day. So it's tuned up, running good. We cut this at 1 3/4 inch. It dried down to 1 5/8 inch, thereabouts. Yeah, 1 5/8 inch. And it's running through there, lickety split, no problem. And that's pretty good for EG100. They're rated at 2 inches. We could run this if it was 2 inches, but you're not going to run 2-inch oak to it. It's just too much. It's too hard. Not enough motor. That's why it's on the list to get upgraded one day. But today's video is about why you have to straight line edge, and this is why. Now, you ask, okay, now what are you going to do with that board? If we try to edge this, we'll miss our number. We were hitting what? 5
3/4 is what we're aiming for, but we're cutting 6 1/4.
Right. We're cutting down to, we cut them green at 7, and they shrunk up. And now we're edging them at 6 1/4, 6 3/8. And that leaves me enough meat to cut the tongue and take a 1/16 to an 1/8 off the back as it goes through the molder. So if we try to edge this, we're going to bring our dimension down too far. So here's the next option. You need to know what the customer's going to do with the wood. So I contacted them this morning and asked them, these are going in a pool pavilion, and I asked him how far his rafters were apart. So I didn't know if they were 6 or 4, and he told me his rafters were 4, or these beams. So we're going to take this board here, and we'll probably cut it in thirds. We'll have 3 4-foot pieces, and that will flatten that bow out. let's go ahead and do it, and I'll set it back over here, and I'll show you what the benefit of that doing that is. Okay, guys, there's our board reassembled. We cut it at 4 foot and cut it again at 4 foot, and it's flat. Here's the bow. See the difference? That was square cut. There's 3/16 of it, and here's some more of it. Now, it's not ideal. I'd rather it been a 12-foot board, but this is customer lumber, customer project, and he can utilize these 4-foot pieces better than he can, because to make that straight, we'd have probably had to cut it down to a finished 1.5 by 4, maybe 5. Well, that ain't what he wants. He wants all one dimension. They all look the same, because this is going to be the underside of the roof, as well as probably slat it and shingle right over top of it or put tin on it. So with him doing 4 foot 6 by 8s as rafters, nobody will know that that's a 4-foot piece instead of a 12 piece, except for the guy nailing it on the roof. So, hope that helps. This is what you got to do. Is either fix it like this, or really edge it down to it's real narrow, or don't use it. And we don't have an option of not using it because it's customer wood. We got this pile here. We got started without you. You can see 4 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot. Here's an 8-footer. And a 4 foot. We hadn't had to do that many. Maybe, I think there's 47 boards here, and maybe 6 or 7 of them we had to cut up. But I mean, it's just what it is. Just beautiful wood, but these forest pines grow so quickly compared to, it just got some tension in it, and this is how we alleviate it. It's one reason I don't cut a lot of 16-foot stuff for TNG. I refuse to cut any for inventory. I will do it for a customer, but as far as personal inventory, I'm not cutting 16-foot TNG because you're going to have such a failure rate at that length of wanting to bow. And 12-footers seem to do much better in boards, but boards are the same issue. If you get one that bows, you either cut it down to the next size that you're working on, cut it in half, or just cull it. Sometimes we just cull it, use it for something else. So let's get the edger set up, and we're gonna run some of these through here. And you can watch Matthew, he's lining that thing up, because I need one good straight edge to put up against the fence. Now, if the outside misses just a little bit, we're taking a lot off because we're creating a tongue. But I want the backside laser straight, because all we're doing is taking just a little bit off to kiss the back, and we're cutting a groove in it. So when I lay them over here, I'm putting all the straight edges that way, so when he picks them up with the tractor, I know where they'll be. And he's taking his effort and trying to line that thing up and take just a little bit off both sides and get it laser straight. So let's get to it. Okay, one quick thing before we get started. This model does not have a laser. We could probably retrofit one, but the one we're looking at got double laser system on it. And the way we correct that is we've pulled lines back here on Matthew's table. This is the blade right here. And this is kind of where he's shooting the first cut to get a little bit. And if he's cutting flitches, he knows he's getting about an inch. And if he goes to the other line over here, he's getting about 2.5. Just little quick reference lines to help Matthew out. But that outmost line is the blade. And that just helps. Like I say, they make a EG350 now that has a fixed laser, like, this one don't move. And then the other one, as you move the blade in and out, you'll get 2 green lines down here. And I think that'd really be helpful, wouldn't it, Matthew?
Yeah.
So maybe one day, not today. That's it on the edger. You can see we have an external vacuum on our edger, as it makes so much sawdust that it just helps and you get a lot of little pieces fall off, and that kind of chews them up before it goes up into the main vacuum system. We tried it without it, and it just didn't work. Now we can run this thing. We run all those boards and didn't stop. That's 47 boards. And when we stopped, it wasn't full. It had a lot of little pieces in there, and I scooped all them out, and then Matthew took a air hose and blowed it out. But you can do a couple hundred boards unless you're knocking off little bitty short pieces, and they'll eventually get in there and plug it up, and you have to pull them out by hand. But enough talking. It's not going to get done if we don't go to work.
guard the hill. A father and son are running a mountain sawmill. Eric fires the Wood-Mizer, Matthew checks the grain, and that LT-70's rolling like a Carolina train. At the bearded lumber sawmill, the sawdust falls like rain. They're slicing up the big logs, making diamonds from the grain, with that sawmill humming and the kiln warm and still. Thanks for watching, we will see you back at the mill. Barking early, Leroy's running wide, Rosie's kicking sawdust on the molder planer side. Eric's teaching Matthew, just like fathers do, how to read the life inside a log and cut it straight and true. At the bearded lumber sawmill, the sawdust falls like rain. They're slicing up the big logs, making diamonds from the grain, with that sawmill humming and the kiln warm and still. Thanks for watching, we will see you back at the mill. Kiln doors open, warm steam rolling slow, fresh cut timber laying out in perfect rows. YouTube's watching, folks tune in for the thrill of a father and his boy at the bearded lumber mill. Maple, pine, and walnut, cedar rich and red, they turn the forest story into boards that live instead. Every slab they measure, every beam they trim, echoes with the love between a father and his kin. At the bearded lumber sawmill, the sawdust falls like rain. They're slicing up the big logs, making diamonds from the grain, with that sawmill humming and the kiln warm and still. Maybe we'll see you back at the mill. Carolina, working hard with skill. Eric and young Matthew, we'll see you back at the mill.
Okay, guys, sorry about the time lapse. It just takes time to run this stuff. Matthew said there's 1,700 something linear feet here. We had 144 2x6s, 12 foot long. What do you think? 5-6% of them we had to trim or cut that were bowed. That wasn't too bad. It had to be done. There's a couple like this one. I'll probably whack 4 feet off it. The tree was cracked. They did that when they knocked it over, hitting it on the ground. But it's a very important part of what we do. Straight lining this makes the finished product so much better, so much easier to produce. If you're wanting to get into molder planing, I don't care what molder you buy. Winding like we got, a Wood-Mizer, a Woodmaster, a SCMI, or a shaper. This will save you mountains of work having one good square side, and in most cases, 2 good square sides to start with. Our little EG100 is a perfect tool for that. Plenty big enough to do most kiln dried stuff up to 1.5 inches thick. Now, if you think you're going to do bigger, then, well, you're going to have to buy a bigger machine. But this is as big as we ever do, S4S, T&G, whatever. Most of what we do is 3/4 inch boards, so it's more than acceptable to do it. You just have to change blades out, run some decent table saw blades. I wouldn't buy very expensive ones because you're just going to wear them out. When you're pushing that wood through there, you know, it puts a lot of wear and tear on that carbide, and they don't last super long, but you're cutting some hardwood. This pine's pretty easy, but what we're going to do next day or two is hickory, and it's just nasty. So anything else, Matthew? Just part of it. It's another tool you got to have in your business. If you're all thinking you want to go that way, Edger's a good place to start because you need it for your sawmill. And then when you do advance into doing more molder planing type stuff, it's a great tool to have available to do just this. I think it runs about 18, 20 feet, linear feet a minute. It's slow compared to our molder, but it's doing a job the molder can't do, so it's just part of it. That's going to do it, guys. As always, appreciate Matthew and Solomon editing these videos. If you get a chance, check out Solomon's channel, Third Beard Fishing. He'd greatly appreciate you jumping in there with him. If you need a hat, check out beardedlumbernc.com. Don't forget about our monthly roundtable, third Saturday of every month, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, outdoor forestry and sawmilling. We'll sit down with a group of guys and a special guest, have a couple hours of just asking them questions and asking other panelists their questions and learning. I enjoy it. I get to learn things that other sawyers do in different areas of the country and share knowledge. So if you would jump in and join us, there'll be a link here on our channel that Saturday. That's going to do it. Guys, as always, appreciate each and every one of you watching. If you got any comments, drop them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. We'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.